they were all written when I was hungover. This one's called Barbed Poetry. This is definitely about a hangover. One night I was drunk and I ate pumpkin seeds, and I had ferocious wine hunger and I didn't shell them. In fact, I hardly chewed them. My fingers were coordinating enough to just move from bag to mouth. The next day I suffered though. First came the shells like tiny thorns, passing through the asshole, a wincing barbed wire shit. Then the paper with streaks of shit and blood. That's a metaphor for fucking poetry if there ever was one. Devouring the world in big gulps without preparing it first, without safely stripping it to the soft seed, then letting the barbs rip through you, squeezing blood and shit out onto the page.
Yeah, do it.
This one's called The Truce. I remember a certain day when I was 4 years old. I remember my brother threw a lamp. I remember how it broke on my sister's leg. I remember how she screamed. I remember the holes in the walls. I remember the accusation, you're a whore. I remember the retort, fuck you. I remember my mother and brother and sister all screaming at once. I remember how it drove me off the couch where I was trying to sleep. I remember shutting my eyes and running with my fist out. I remember screaming, be quiet. I remember the sound when my hand went through the window pane of the front door. I remember how they all stopped. I remember my mother whispering, see what you made them do. I remember a sudden calmness. I remember one of them examining my tiny fist. I remember the other sweeping up the glass. I remember the trio apologizing over and over. I remember being smart enough to keep it a secret that I had not meant to shatter the glass. I remember the piece of cardboard taped over the empty frame. I remember my hand in a bandage. I remember the red seeping through the gauze. I remember the brief but beautiful truce. And now you know why I want to move to southern India.
There you go.
This one's called The Waking. I don't know why he did this. I didn't write why he did this, but I guess you'll understand. It's called The Waking. I remember when I was 5 years old, my 16-year-old sister was blow drying her hair at 7 a.m. She took a little longer than usual that morning. She was going to be late. She and my mother fought for a few minutes and then she ran to catch the bus, slamming the front door. But she had awoken my father. He had just lost his job 6 months before and had started a new one where he worked the night shift in a warehouse. The master bedroom door used to scrape the door jamb when it opened, and I remember that sound of wood against wood. He came out holding a hammer he had stolen from his old job, walked into my sister's room and began counting down. This is number 1, he yelled and smashed her blow dryer to bits. This is number 2, he yelled and smashed her stereo to pieces. This is number 3, he yelled and smashed her box of records to shards. This is number 4, he yelled and smashed her curling iron. This is number 5, he yelled and smashed her mirror with the lights around it. This is number 6, he yelled and smashed her makeup case. Number 7, he yelled. Oh, it got cut off. Oh well. I don't have the rest of it, but he kept smashing things. and then he took the door off the hinges with the screwdriver he stole and slammed his own door. And that was the end of that.
Yeah! Awesome!
I do have the whole poem of this one called Tug with Threads. That was good ad-libbing, right?
Very good. Yeah, very good.